What's up, coach? In today's video, I'm talking with Candace Smith all about how to create client buy-in for females to build muscle. So stay tuned. What's up, coach? I'm Beverly Simpson. I'm the owner of B Simpson Fitness and the founder of the PT Profit Formula and PT Profit Podcast. Today's video, I am sitting down with my friend Candace Smith, and we're talking all about how to create client buy-in on building muscle specifically for female clients. So if you like this video, go ahead, hit like, hit subscribe, and let me know in the comments below what specific questions you have. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and roll that interview. Hi, Candace. Thanks so much for joining me on this show today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm really pumped for this podcast episode today. This is going to be so great. People are going to love it.
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and dive right in. Can you share a little bit about who you are, who you serve, who you help? You got there.
All right. Hey, y'all. So I'm Candace Smith, and I'm a online strength coach. I've been in the online space and virtually training people, training women specifically. A lot of women come to me to, of course, drop body fat and get strong. But we move more. I try to get them moved more towards not always chasing fat loss and to spend some time in eating more food. Or even if we're approaching fat loss, we don't have to drastically cut the calories to poverty macros like a lot of women tend to do. So a lot of women coming to me underfed and over-exercised and doing the most. And I'm like, it does not take that much, take that much to get to where you're doing too much. So my background a little bit, it comes from extremism as well, so I can speak to my clients. Actually, my journey started with being turned into veganism, not veganism, vegetarian. Sorry, I just wrote a blog post or email talking about both, so they kind of almost go interchangeably. But vegetarian and running, and I thought that was the way. Of course, most women think running is the way to go. Nothing wrong with running, but I was not good at it. Even after doing it for a long time, I didn't really enjoy it, but I thought that's what I needed to do to, get healthy, get fit or whatnot, and not eat meat. And I love meat. So, so from there, I finally hung that up. And I dabbled a little bit in weights in college. I think Beverly read that at Western Michigan. I started dabbling a little bit when I got into college, but I didn't take it serious. It wasn't until like early 2000s, and I probably date myself, but whatever. I got serious about lifting and eating properly, not underfeeding myself, but eating more whole foods and incorporating meat back in and training with weights, and boom. So I was doing great in that area once I got used to and teach myself how to weight train and reading and educating myself. But then I got into physique competitions, and that was a whole nother extremism. And between that, doing various diets and getting a little bit of body dysphoria and, having I don't know if I say it's a piss poor relationship with food, a little bit of disordered eating for several years. And then I had to hang up the competing because it just wasn't serving me anymore. And I actually eventually got with a coach that done it right. But it was time to hang up the clear heels. It's like, those clear looking stripper heels. That's what a lot of people know them of.
Okay. Two quick questions for you. One.
Yeah.
What caused you to go into competing? And were you training people at the time?
I wasn't training people yet. This was pre or was I? No, I started my personal training business in 2009. Yes, I was still competing to that time. So yes, I was competing, but just lifestyle clients, not competition clients. Um, and I went into it because like I love the art. I love muscle and I love the dedication, and I'm disciplined in that way to be in the gym, to build muscle, to be eating the, eating the food. And I admire the discipline of it, the showism of it. It was fun, the camaraderie with my girlfriends and different things. Um, so that's what kind of led me to it.
I think what a lot of people miss when they're thinking about body competitions is that they get into this idea that, oh, that's just for looks, that you need, people are doing that because they want to look a certain way, not recognizing that it's actually a sport, and it's very, and it requires a sport-like training
Mm-hmm.
and eating program.
Yes. Yep.
Very intense.
Yep. It is.
Based, and it's not just about, I think maybe some people get pulled into it because of the aesthetics, but it is a performance based competition or performance.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Okay,
Yeah, it certainly is.
so you're training, or you started training people while you were in this world.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Just
What was that experience like?
well, first, before I went full time into the gym, I was doing like a 9 to 5. So I would train some clients in the evening. Um, it very demanding to say, because once you in prep for a show, it can be, it's long days. You're training. Well, I was in training the optimal way back then. There's a good side and a bad side to competing. And at the time I was with the extreme coach. And so I was in the gym a lot, trying to do my clients and work and all that stuff. But towards the end of my competing years, I did 4 years, 3 to 4 years. It's been a while now. It's been like back some years ago. But I towards the end of it, I got more balanced. A coach that fed me well. So that matters, when you're busy, when you're on your feet all day and whatnot. And then by that time, towards the end of my competing career, if you want to call it that, I was in the gym. So I didn't have, doing office work and going to the gym. So it was better managed overall. So
That's good.
memories.
I know, memories. I'm really pulling you down memory lane. I'm curious, what was the experience like of training clients who are working on lifestyle goals, right? And here you are in this extreme world, and you're trying to get people to just maybe cut out your soda intake, right? And you're
Mm-hmm.
this extreme world trying to coach a more lifestyle approach. What was that experience like? Was it challenging? Is that what pulled you out of is that what helped you recognize that, oh, I'm living in an extreme world?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is extreme. And getting to like my relationship, because if I'm teaching, to do it, although, I had a point where I was teaching a little bit of the extremism, we all evolve, and sometimes it's hard to say. Like I used to say the whole don't eat fruit too, because that's what I learned from bodybuilding style stuff. I think a lot of the dieting myths and things and dieting history come from the old school bodybuilding, or any of the diets back from the 90s, to cut this, cut that, and so forth. So yeah, definitely with my relationship changing, and towards the end, I was feeling like, wow, this is extreme. I need to improve my relationship. And I wanted to feel better. I was like, I shouldn't feel like this, It was time for a change. It kind of just like, no, kind of like with our clients, or with clients that come with dieting, been dieting for years and years and years. They have all these rules and these hangups that they learned, and they starting to feel this like, I can't live like this. I have no energy, and I can't go. I'm neurotic around food. I can't go out to eat without, it comes a change, and it's hard for a lot of women to get out of that dieting mindset. So I do a lot of that work still, even with a client that's ready to move into, eating more food and training. It's like, you still get questions like, but is it really okay to eat carbs after a certain time or things of that nature? So
yeah, great. Okay, cool. So how, I'm really excited because we're going to be talking about one of the things that I really love about your work. And I've been following your work now for a while. I can't believe it's been so long since we first met. It's like been,
I know.
I really love about your work. And honestly, it was you that really helped me kind of get okay with talking about fat loss, because I feel like, and I've talked about this in previous podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
huge pull in the industry right now to kind of associate working on fat loss with self-esteem loss, and that if you're teaching fat loss, then it means that you are trying to fit this diet culture, which is actually the opposite of what we
Right. Mm-hmm.
actually pursue fat loss, but not, but still maintain and increase your self-esteem. In fact, you need it in order to work on
Right.
fat loss. So I'm really curious about how you've been able to help your clients go from this diet mentality of like constantly chasing fat loss, chasing diets, and what's your approach on getting them on board with this is how you really do fat loss.
Mm-hmm. Well, one, I express and iterate the fact that, one, with my clients, that it does not have to be so low, your calories. I know you've been there. And fat loss, the way we approach it, the way you used to approach it, and the way a lot of people approach it is, again, in the extremism. It doesn't have to be that extreme. And then just educating my clients on, you've done so many diets, sometimes you don't even know what a carb from a fat is and a protein. I think a lot of time with the knowledge and awareness, and I take a habit-based approach and a macro-based approach, more flexible nutrition, flexible, people know as flexible diet and flexible eating. Because flexible and doing macros isn't necessarily a diet. We're eating macros, whether we're tracking them or not. And if you understand what you're eating, not even it don't even have to be, if you have issues. A lot of women, have done macro dieting, and they have done it in an extreme way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I like to get them and show them that, no, you can, this is the way, this is how you eat food. It doesn't have to, again, on these low numbers. What is your protein sources? Where's your protein on your plate? Where's your carbohydrates? Where's your veggies? And also that mindset is huge. Switching from, I got to follow this long list of, or this meal plan, or I got to follow this low carb thing. But you following all this stuff when you feel like crap. So it's like just getting to the client and approaching the fat loss in a more sustaining way, a more way where it can fit into their lifestyle and not the other way around.
So you do have them like track calories or track macros.
Sometimes, yeah, it depends on the client. Or habit-based approach. My background also is in precision nutrition. Yeah, like I said, even if we don't track them, we still need to know what a portion is for ourselves. What do I need for protein? How many, portions should I have a day if we're going that right? Or also, take the approach, let's look at, is that plate balanced? Mm-hmm. A lot of women are still shy of carbohydrates. Mm-hmm. And you training and you doing all these classes, or you going to do your own workout, or you running and you're not fueled, and you wonder why you feel like poo from day to day in the gym and in your life, when when you're just doing things, your regular daily activities. And it all ties back and stems back to always still, even if you're not consciously or intentionally chasing fat loss or weight loss, sometimes you're actually doing it, you don't even know it, because of your habits from past. still eating. Like I always say, I probably in my literature, I always say eating like a bird. Um, a lot of women are doing that consciously and not consciously.
Yeah, I also think too, it's an important thing to note that I think a lot of trainers miss is that we're in this world 100% of the time. And that it's so easy for us to just assume that everyone knows what a carbohydrate is, or that everyone knows what what a protein is and a fat, and that they automatically, you know, just know it. And that's
Right.
because we're immersed in it all the time, not recognizing that people still are very conflicted and confused about what a carbohydrate is. And I think they're also confused and conflicted about the nutritional benefits of fruit, because they're just so things like fruit, things like potatoes,
Yes.
inundated with diet culture telling them that this is going to do something to them that they don't want.
Yep. Yep. That's exactly what it is. Myself, for a while, I didn't eat fruit or potatoes. I love white potatoes, and white potatoes is the most satiating carbohydrate. And I didn't eat them for years,
Mhm.
years, you know.
Me too.
I'm like, where's these been all my life? I used to survive just on a grapefruit training in the
Mhm.
morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. Like, how healthy is that? And women are, we're up, like you said, we're up against that. We're we have to, it's come down to, like, I think yesterday I was talking in my stories about exposure, learning, pulling these foods back in. That's one way in which I help my strong sisters. Um, let's reintroduce these foods that you have put on this ban list. Let's show you that it is not that particular, um, that item causing you to gain all this weight or whatever, or change your fitness or whatnot.
Mhm.
I don't know if I answered. It was a lot in there.
You did. I also, can we talk a little bit about, we talked a lot about food, and I'm curious, how have you got your clients to lift? Like your women clients specifically? Because
Yeah, yeah.
run into women who feel or scared about getting bulky. What have you done to help clients start to see that bulk A is subjective, and B, that it's a very, like we were talking about with body competition,
Yes.
it's an athletic pursuit in terms of its, discipline and training requirements?
Mm-hmm. Well, one way is that I have been getting women that are, what I have to fight is the cardio circuits with strength. They're using some weights,
Mm.
but they are not training in a way to elicit, like, gain strength or maintain their muscle or even build it. So again, it's just the education around it. And sometimes I'll even get and teach and show them, and even get down and show them different women. This is what happens. You're genetically going to only gain as much muscle as your genetics allow.
Mm-hmm.
And in the pursuit of, if you want more muscle, well, you want to have to eat more food, and that still you won't um, get bulky. I mean, that's subjective. I see nothing wrong with bulk. I love muscle. And I think the power behind it and the education around why we as women, even if you don't want, muscle to show or whatever, the power of lifting goes beyond that for our bones, our hormones, our skeletal system, everything, our tendons, our ligaments, injury prevention. Um, it's like investing in our future. And
Mm-hmm.
I always say, what's to say to my clients, if you were to get too much muscle, you can back off the training, the volume you're doing. You saying one thing, this is how you want to look, but cardio is not making that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Weight training is going to make that athletic look, the toned look, which cringy word, but that's what our people say, toned. But you have to have muscle to be toned. Yeah, you get bulky, we can back off the training. We can cut your volume back. But it takes years and years and years. I think women they picture women like bodybuilding,
Mm-hmm.
and they think that is, and then the media, the marketing All that around it has created this thing that makes it hard for us to get our clients to invest in it. But once they do and they see how strong they are and they can do push-ups, it's like, why haven't I been doing this all my life?
Mm-hmm.
But I think we got to come from somewhere. We have to learn and grow. And then when you hit that aha moment, when you get consistent with training, sprinkle in the cardio. I'm not saying not to do the cardio, but if you want that tight, fit, athletic look, it falls with weight training.
Mm-hmm. And okay, so you brought up this point, and I definitely want to expand upon it, which is that so many of our clients, and I think some of us too, like we could get some clarity around, these cardio circuits where these clients think that they're weight training because they're using weights. So how
Yes.
the difference between, where does that go in a program? Like if a client was coming to you and was saying like, hey, I want to work on losing fat and building muscle, right? A, can that possibly happen at the same time? And B, where do those cardio circuits live? How do you know that that's happening?
Well, one would be, we'll start with, can you do both? If you're a newbie or if you come off of a long hiatus, most of the time you can do both.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time when you're doing fat loss and you're achieving fat loss, you should be strength training because you want to keep as much muscle as possible when you're in a deficit. And you want to be eating as much calories as you can while in a deficit while still losing, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want that whole cutting your food so low. I see women do it all the time. They've been eating, 2,000-3,000 calories and they cut it all the way down to 1,200.
Yeah, I don't know where that somehow became this magical number, but everyone thinks 1,200 is like.
Yeah. And so it's crazy, right? So instead of doing that, sometimes, I always also try to get clients to, let's eat at maintenance for a while. So let's see where your maintenance falls at and weight train and watch what happens. You start to get stronger. You start to see muscle definition. So we're having a little bit of body recomp where you are, like you said, dropping a little fat and building the muscle, or at least maintaining it. And then with the the circuits, I enjoy them. They have a time and a place, but I like to structure your programming as women. Put your big lifts first. Then we'll give you a little circuit at the end or a finisher.
Mm-hmm.
Or you were short on time in the gym and he's like, I need a quicker workout. Then we can apply a circuit. I think a lot of women, once they see, oh, dang, I could do my goblet squats with a 40-pound kettlebell or a dumbbell for 8 reps. But if I'm doing that in a circuit, I'm not going to be able to do 40 pounds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In my circuit, I have to do like 15 reps. High reps don't always, and little weight don't always give you your best bang for your buck. Yes, you're hitting weights and you're getting the cardio piece, but you're breathless and sweaty and haven't gave the body time to recover to lift the heavier weights, challenging weights. So sprinkling in that, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that I think that's a good approach in the sense that you can give them, your client, it's kind of like to me, I compare it to my kids, which is that like my kids, I gave them the option, they would probably eat candy for dinner all the time, and then stop asking for it when they feel bad, right? I mean, I all the time with my children is I will give them dessert with dinner sometimes, and they can decide what they want. And oftentimes they'll pick the food that makes them feel isn't candy, right? But the point is that you have to give them a little bit of what they want and a little bit of what they need.
Yep, absolutely.
They're going to feel bad all the time. And so I think trainer, and I know that this was true for me, that it was sometimes hard to create buy-in for my client to get them to want to do the 8 reps and want to do the same thing over and over again because they'd get bored.
Yep.
And it would be it was easy to just be like, okay, I'm going to make them, sweat. I'm going to make them move and then they like it, but then they weren't getting the results that they wanted.
Yes. Yep.
So it can be a hard balance to find that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really can. And yeah, because they've been doing it so long. They've been doing that way
Mm-hmm.
for, so it's like you kind of like sprinkle it up, there it comes. And this is once they see that getting stronger, actually being fit, because just because you're doing those circuits, you got a little bit. I'm not saying you won't get any results from that, but if you're doing a different circuit and always sweating, not resting, being random, I always say random does not equal the results. Random workouts do not equal your results that you want. Now, I say also tell my client people, not just to my clients, but in general, if I'm talking to women, if that's what you want, by all means, go for it. You just want to go in the gym and you can be consistent in that. But I'm getting women that want the results. They want to look stronger. They want to be fitter. They want to do push-ups, pull-ups, squat, their weight, deadlift, their weight. This is what it takes. So I gotta, yeah. Sometimes it is a little bit hard to buy them in, but what you're doing over here ain't working for what you say you want.
Yeah, but results speak, right?
Yeah,
When
right.
you start getting results,
Yes.
people will listen.
Mm-hmm. They do.
What would you say? Let me rephrase that question. How have you been managing all of the gym shutdowns that have been going on across the world, right? How have you been able to adjust your programming for your clients so that they, continue to see results if they don't have access to their gyms?
Yeah. Well, right when we first started, it was just more get people transition into working out at home. I do provide, so getting that idea before I jump into the next part, buying into that you can still, and I talk about this often too in my content and stuff, is that we just have to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
We have to adjust, and I'll work with what my client has. So we may, not be able to do our big lifts as much because we only have dumbbells, but I'm gonna still incorporate that style of training. If we can't do a barbell deadlift, we're gonna still do some type of deadlift, kettlebell deadlift, a Romanian deadlift, single leg deadlift, that type of thing. So just adjusting to that and getting them to see that it's okay. You can still keep some level of fitness and not be starting from zero once the gym's open back up.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple of my clients right now have in-home gyms and pretty substantial amount. And then I have some that just have, dumbbells and whatnot and kettlebells. And myself here, I'm a full-time RVer. I didn't mention that at the beginning about myself. So yeah, so
I want to talk. I
yeah.
want to hear about that too. But okay.
So I have my equipment for myself here in my RV. I got several kettlebells, dumbbells, TRX, things that can still keep me, in my fitness, enjoying lifting. So yeah.
Do you carry a barbell in your RV?
We don't, but we just bought one. Because we're heading towards Michigan, and right now I have a gym here, and I'm in Alabama at the moment. We've been here for several months since the whole Rona happened situation.
Yeah.
And there's a gym open here, so I've been able to go to the gym. But I think when I go to Michigan, they're still kind of on the lockdown, and not many gyms are open. And so we are all set. Like since we hit the road 3 years ago, we've always had some type of equipment with us.
I have to share, this is kind of a sidebar, but our gym is shut down. Our gym in New York has not opened up yet, and it's been taxing for me in my mental energy. Like I have stuff and I train, my programs are at home programs, but something that I think trainers, and I'm just going to say this as an important side note, is that you are not your client. So while I'm creating, while I'm having my client buy into at-home program, they're going from zero. Like they're going from sitting on the couch to moving their body. That's just
Mm-hmm.
works best for me. I love the gym and I'm
Yep.
missing them. It's been hard.
Yeah.
It's a harder transition for me.
Yeah, for sure. I get that totally. It was a uh, let's see, uh, pretty flexible transition for me because of the lifestyle that we're doing. So sometimes we don't have as much access, but I do love the gym just like you. And in some days I'm like, oh, I'm tired of these home workouts, and that's normal.
Yes, and I think our clients go through that too.
They do. So I was so happy with one of my clients that don't have like a full like garage gym or whatever, that the gyms where she's at have opened back up. So you can get back in there, because you are limited to a point, with what you can do at home. And if you're serious about your training, you don't have that stuff, you definitely want a gym so you can get in there and do your thing.
Mhm.
So.
So one of the things too that you were saying, that you were talking about, is you were saying we can't have fat loss goals 365 days of the year.
Yes.
And so how in your training programs and with your clients, and I know that it's been, it's in education, but when you're programming, like, do you do your cycles in 90 days? Like, how do you program out your cycles
Mhm.
in terms of getting them being like, okay, this is what we're focusing on. This is what we're focusing on. Like,
Yeah.
how do you structure your programming in that sense?
When it comes to 365 days a year, I like to say, instead of, a lot of our women come to us with this goal weight.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when we do this goal weight, we keep driving, like, what else can I take out? Or, if I hit this plateau, what more can I do or take away? Or how much of fitness, how much food can I take away? So instead of looking at this long, let's break it down in increments. I also like to just let's be in a fat loss deficit for either anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks, and then segue into a maintenance break. And then repeat the cycle until, you're, this is where I'm at, this is what I like. Yeah, in a way. Although it's always.
I put arrive in quotations because it's people,
Yeah.
right? You have to love this process. Outcomes are fleeting moments. This
Right.
isn't about arriving. This is about,
Yeah.
you can live and sustain it.
Yes. Yep. So if you're you want to be stronger and fitter and drop body fat, I think the best approach is, when I talked about this on my last blog post, is taking a break and
Mm-hmm.
getting women into that mindset that you cannot be not necessarily under eating, but in a deficit all the time. The fatigue comes up, your hunger raises, your fullness not existent sometimes, depending on how your deficit is set up. These things are happening, the psychological things and the physiological things are starting to come up. So why keep standing at to push it? And this is why we get in that yo-yo cycle, because one, you probably set up your deficit really low.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can make it for a couple weeks. It's not if, it's when you're being extreme. And then I'm gonna start again, and you go and you eat, you overeat, you binge, or what have you. I know, not saying people have binge disorder, but if we undereat, we're all going to at some point go into overeating or binging on food. However that so then you start over again, that yo-yo. This didn't work, so I'm gonna do this and whatnot. But so when I hit my clients, I prefer, to let's not be in, or what I talk about all the time is, let's not always be eating under our maintenance all the time. Let's eat a little bit more food and feel great in the gym and lift. And if we still wanted to approach some more fat loss, let's reset the cycle. So then again, that whole eating more food while cutting is the better thing.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of every time you go slashing your calories 1,000 off, we can get progress with your deficit by taking off 250 calories from where your maintenance was. But if you never have worked up to higher calories, you won't ever do that. You'll always, every time you approach doing a cut, I like to say, instead of, weight loss or whatever, dropping body fat, it will come off easier because you're not always in a deficit. That's what I think a lot of people don't get. Every time you approach a diet, you're messing with your metabolism. Your metabolism is not running fast when you're in a deficit, ladies. It's not.
Yeah, it slows. People don't realize that your body is super smart, and it will adapt. We're always fighting to get homeostasis, always.
Yes.
So it'll shut down in the body in order to get there.
Yeah, that's the purpose of doing like a maintenance phase and breaks, deficit breaks, diet breaks, whatever you want to call it, in those fat loss phases.
Do you think that you have to work up to that? Meaning, like, do you think it has to be a transitional experience, like a periodized experience from going from a cut to, say, maintenance? Meaning, like, do it slowly?
Yeah, well, like if you do, say I'm going to do my deficit for 12 weeks, right? Mm-hmm. At that end, whatever amount of body fat you dropped or whatever this weight has changed to, when we'll start with that and see adjust your calories so it can be at a maintenance level.
Okay, so would you like just do it overnight? Like, would you say, okay, great, you're at a deficit tomorrow?
No, not necessarily. Depending on the client, you can't rip the Band-Aid off and do it, or you can incrementally raise the calories up to that, which will minimize some body fat gain.
Got it.
So yeah, and then if you do rip the Band-Aid off and go right back to it, it's usually just water weight, which women, with the scale, how we are, or some of us are still with the scale. We don't understand that the body is weighing I always use the example, the entire being, muscle, your hair, your limbs, everything is being weighed. We use it as one data point, or we don't, if you really don't have a sound relationship with it. So you can go either that route, slowly work back up to it, or you can say, hey, I'm ready to eat more food right now. Let's do this.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Well, I definitely want to be mindful of your time. This has been so awesome. Thank you for hanging out with me today.
Yeah.
Where do people find you?
They can find me. I hang out the most on Instagram as Beauty of Strength. And then Facebook, I'm over there sometimes. But I think the party is happening on Instagram. I mean, my website is CandaceRSmith.com. And that's the places I hang out.
Okay, great. So I will definitely link all of that up in the show. And then I'm going to leave you with one last question because it's fun and I'm so curious. What caused you to go into the RV life, and what has that been like?
Oh, wow. Well, I love traveling. And before we started this, we were always gone visiting family, just flying or driving to various things. And it was just something always in the back of our head. Like, it would be fun to visit the state parks, be able to work from wherever. Both me and my husband, we were both remote. My stepchildren are grown. It was easy to transition. We were actually at the time renting a house. We almost was getting ready to buy a house, and this RV thing popped up. It was like, we've been wanting to travel and kind of live where we're parked. Home is where we park it thing. So let's back off the house buying and finish our lease, sell everything, put what we want to keep in storage. Just what's in storage, my gym, my garage gym, because before I transitioned fully onto doing online training, nutrition coach, strength and nutrition coaching, I was still training in person, but I was not in a gym no more. I had my own space in my garage. Had converted the garage to a gym. So we sold a few pieces of equipment and put everything else in storage.
Are they still in storage?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Are you intending to do the RV life forever?
No, I don't think forever. Maybe a few more years, but we just really have liked being able to pick up and go. Although a lot of people see it as glamorous, it's still like we're not like, when you pull into a park, you see most people are here just for vacation or a weekend thing. We still just our house is on wheels. Oh, we have the opportunity to go, all around the country. It's very interesting. If you want to know more about like the RV life we do, my husband and I do have a YouTube channel and an Instagram, and that's Tripping with the Smiths, and
Oh,
on Facebook and on Instagram.
cool.
So yeah, it's a very interesting lifestyle. It is not the American traditional way, but
But I mean,
uh,
right now, what is? No one's really living.
right, no.
Where's your favorite spot?
So far, since when we were traveling more often, Rona has slowed that down. But our
Mm.
first year and a half, we did a lot of national parks, and Zion was my favorite in Utah. I like Utah. I like the coast area, Oregon, that area, which hopefully we'll get back to. Hopefully in the new year around that time.
Cool. That's so cool. All right, Candy. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it. And we'll catch you next time.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, friends. As always, if you're not already, hit subscribe, hit like, and tap that bell to make sure that you're notified when the next latest and greatest video comes out. And I'll see you on the next video.